Hey eBayers, it's Suzanne A. Wells, and I'm back with another Money Making Monday video. The theme in this video is vintage items. And if you are new to this format, these sales come from my Facebook group. Every Monday we have a thread where sellers post what they found, where they found it, how much they paid for it, how much it sold for, and either a link to the item or a screenshot of that sale. And there are over 30,000 sellers in this group, so this thread can get pretty long, sometimes up to 500 comments, but it's a great way to learn what other people are actually selling, not just what they're finding in thrift stores, because that's what's important. What is selling and what's making money. So let's get into the video. The first item is a slide rule, and I guess the younger crowd isn't even going to know what this is. But Jamie Lynn Galloway paid $1 for this at a yard sale, sold in less than an hour for $49.97. She had no clue what it was. Her husband told her to get it. He did the research, and I'm really glad he saw it because I would not have given it a second look. And this is an instrument that used to be used instead of a calculator. So, very vintage item. If you want to know more about a slide rule, look that up. Okay, Max just posted this on the Friday Finds thread. Paid $2.99 for this Victorian style Dale Tiffany lampshade at Savers. Sold for best offer of $50 plus shipping in 2 days. And that is beautiful. I can just see that in shabby chic decor. That's just gorgeous with the looks like satin fabric and the beading, just beautiful. So $2.99 and it sold for $50. Okay, Nancy had a great sale with this ashtray. She paid 25 cents at the bins, which is the Goodwill outlet, sold in a couple of hours for full price. And full price was $49.99. This is a vintage 1950s restaurant ashtray. So all of those things out there, from restaurants, gas stations, any kind of business like that, grocery stores, banks that are no longer in business or that are just old, those things can sell. And ashtray, who would think 25 cents for an ashtray, turn that into $50 in a couple of hours. This is what eBay is all about. This is what people get excited about because it's not always the designer clothing, the designer handbags, the big scores. It's these little things that are hiding in plain sight on those shelves where they're all stacked up and you got to look through them, or in her case, in the bins at the Goodwill outlet. So this stuff is out there. You can find it. Okay, Kelly sold this antique punch bowl set. Purchased it on a Friday for $99.97 and it sold for $997. So Kelly is proving me wrong on my idea of don't sell punch bowl sets. Back in one of my time wasters videos, I had mentioned, generally speaking, they're not worth that much. Now, there's going to be exceptions to every rule based on what it is, when it was made. This was made in 1907, so it's an antique. It's over 100 years old. So, yes, it's going to be worth more. So, I'm glad that she went with her gut on this and she bought it at a consignment shop. So, don't forget about consignment stores, whether it's clothing consignment, furniture consignment. Any kind of consignment store is going to have stuff in there that you can flip because they are limited to who walks in the door if it is a brick and mortar store. They may have things posted on eBay as well, but generally speaking, these consignment stores don't do that. They have that floor space, whatever comes in, they price it, put it out there, and wait for whoever walks in the door to buy it. So I would be interested to see where this was shipped. It doesn't say in the comments, but I try to give you guys information that is is good in most situations. You can't make up these rules, always do this or never do that, because there's always going to be exceptions to everything. So just file that away in your brain that if it's an antique punch bowl set, that's completely different. Okay, Liz got for free on the curb. Took a week to sell at full listing price plus shipping. Had some issues which I disclosed. There are lots of Miss Piggy and Kermit ones selling at about 10 and under, but I could only find one of this guy. Had sold as part of a lot in the recent past, so I aimed high and had a zero feedback buyer buy it after I countered someone else on a low $10 offer. Had to wrap his nose in pool noodles as I was paranoid about it breaking. So this is a vintage Jim Henson Muppets Dr. Teeth mug, and that is a great idea to use pool noodles as packing material. I have a video on that. I'll put the link in there for you, but you can slice them longwise and wrap them around things. You can chop them up in little circles and use them as filler instead of those packing peanuts, which everyone hates. There's all kind of ways you can use them. So look for those at thrift stores, garage sales, even the dollar store. End of summer is a great time to stock up on those things if you use them for packing material. And another thing about this mug is that it says it has a small chip on the nose, so it wasn't even perfect and it's still sold. People who collect vintage items, they know that they're not going to be perfect. They're very old, and maybe they've had a hard life and they're not going to be perfect. So eBay is not the place for perfectionism. Just get it listed and see what you get. Okay, Lisa bought this Saturday for $1 at a yard sale, sold it in one day. This is an Iron Maiden, that's a rock band from the 80s. Number of the Beast square 14 by 14 carnival mirror. So Iron Maiden is like heavy metal rock, and that's really collectible. All of that rock band stuff, anything with the band on it, whether it's t-shirts or ticket stubs or stuff like this. So this was a great find. $1, and she sold it for $75. Okay, we've got Jamie Fields, who paid $19 for these vintage 70s Mirror Moods tiles. Sold in less than 3 weeks, full price, which was $175. So you older Gen Xers and baby boomers will remember these things that we had them on our dining room wall. The mirrored tiles, that was the thing. You covered the wall in mirror to make the room look bigger. That was just, a fad at the time, and this kind of has a crackled, veined appearance on it, but these were brand new in the package. She paid $19 and sold them for $175. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the southern word for these were tacky, but we had them in our house, and that was elegant and glamorous, and then it turned into tacky as time went by. So it doesn't matter if it's in style anymore. If it's vintage, people will buy it. Okay, it would not be a Money Making Monday without Brian Rapoport. He got this radio cassette player for $5 at Goodwill, sold for best offer of $110 in 2 weeks. This is a vintage radio cassette player. He's selling it as is, and it says pre-owned radio cassette player from 77. Parts are not working, meaning it didn't even work, and he still sold it for $110 because people who have these vintage items need parts for them, and they're just not making any more radio parts for radios from 1977, so they got to get the parts somewhere, and that usually means out of other devices that don't work, so they buy these things for parts. So keep that in mind. Okay, Hydron. Recent thrift store find for $2. Couldn't identify the mark. Grabbed a price out of thin air. And that's perfect, because that's what you have to do sometimes, is just go with your gut, just stick a price on it and get it out there and see what happens. I see a lot of you sending questions about not sure how to price things, and really nobody is. If it's that unique or there haven't been many of them selling, then you don't know. And an item is only worth what someone will pay for it. That could be exactly what you put on it, it could be less. So you just have to throw it out there and see what happens. She listed this yesterday afternoon around 4. Ka-ching came 2 hours later for full asking price plus shipping. Now I wonder what I missed. Okay, so she's beating herself up over, did I price it too low? Well, you can't have that mentality because you don't know. You have no idea. So $2 turned into $40 in 2 hours is great. Don't worry about it. Okay, Alicia, we have another slide rule here. Bought at an estate sale last weekend on our way to a graduation party for $1.50, listed and sold within a couple of hours. So this is another vintage all metal electronic slide rule, and it was $1.50 and it sold for $65. So look at this picture. If you don't know what a slide rule is, look that up, get some information on that so you can stick that in your brain and know to look for it when you see these, because this is the great thing about the older generation selling on eBay. And I love my audience because you guys, most of you, 85% of my audience on YouTube is between 45 and 65. So we are the Gen Xers and baby boomers. And we know a lot of this stuff because we lived it. The millennials don't know what this is. So they're not going to pick these things up if they're, picking to resell stuff and they're in the thrift stores and the garage sales. There's a lot of stuff they don't know. They know what's going on in their world right now and what's popular with their age people. But when you get older, you can use the benefit of your age. It's called wisdom. And don't think you're too old to do this, sell on eBay, because you have wisdom about what to sell. Maybe the computer part's a little tricky for you, or you need to learn shipping, but you have the wisdom. That's the foundation of this whole thing, is knowing what to pick to resell. And yes, we can always learn more, but when a 60-year-old person walks in a thrift store and they see dishes from the 70s and they see pots and pans they know were made in the 80s, and they see a rock band t-shirt, they went to a concert in the late 60s for that band, they just already know. So that's why I did this video on vintage item, is because a lot of you already know this stuff. You don't have to learn it. Okay, Nancy again, bought at a church rummage sale for 75 cents, had lots of lowball offers but held out. Took best offer of $100 in 3 months. This is a model kit, a balsa wood airplane model kit. And it looks like it's, brand new. So she bought this for 75 cents and sold it for $100. So some collector is going to love this. Who knows? They may actually build it, or they may just put it on their shelf as part of their collection. Doesn't really matter. Okay, Nancy again. These are out of order. Bought a large lot of used oil paints at the bins for $2, broke into 2 lots and put on 7-day auction. Both sold in 7 days plus shipping. So this was $2 for both of these sales you're seeing here. One of the lots sold for $41 and the other one sold for $39.99. So about $80 for an investment of $2 on some Rembrandt oil paint artist paints. So, and they've been used. You can see a lot of them are used. They've a little bit's been squeezed out. They're not 100% brand new. So that was a great flip. $2 and turned it into $80 over just a few days. Okay, we've got Alicia here. She did good at this stop she made to her graduation party. Paid $1.50, sold within 24 hours. And these are some men's vintage Munsing wear briefs. So we've got some men's underwear, vintage underwear, new in the package. and she sold that for $32. So $1.50 turned into $32, and it sold in a day. Nothing is too weird to sell on eBay. Not that underwear is weird, but who would think vintage underwear new in the package? Okay, we've got Mark Sherrill, another one who our Money Making Monday video is never complete without some of his sales. This is a used vintage Magnolite stock pot, and he paid as a few dollars as part of a lot of vintage cookware sold for $30 plus $9 shipping. And you can see in the condition notes he says has some stains and marks from use on interior and exterior. Bottom of pan has some slight warping, and it's still sold. All of that was disclosed and it's still sold. So things don't have to be perfect. Okay, this is an interesting item. Rosalie purchased at an estate sale for under $5, sold for asking price of $38.06. This was shortly after someone else gave me a lowball offer of $6. I double checked comps and confirmed I had it priced right. And soon the right buyer came along. This is a vintage wooden recipe box with recipes and home remedies in it. That's a really interesting piece of history right there. And Karen commented, love to see these kinds of sales and that you found the right buyer for someone's love and effort into creating a box of recipes and good memories. I like to think of myself as a personal shopper for millions of unknown clients, something for everyone out there. And that is exactly correct, Karen, because this is a piece of history. This is very interesting for someone to go through and look at, and who knows what they're going to do with it. But some people just like that, the historical aspect of a lot of these personal items with handwriting. I do have another Money Making Monday video coming up on ephemera, which is like paper stuff, things that were only supposed to last a short time. So that one is getting put together and will be coming soon to show you more about what things people will buy that you probably had no idea have any value. Okay, here's Brian again with a vintage Polaroid land camera. Paid $45 at an estate sale, sold for $149. So he pretty much tripled his investment there. And this is your basic Polaroid camera. That one looks like it's in great condition. Okay, Brian again has some Corelle dishes here. It's a sugar and creamer set. Corelle, I remember when that came out in the early 80s, I think, or at least that's when I remember the advertisements, and they showed you cooking stuff in the microwave in it, because that's about when microwaves came out, was the late 70s. So then a whole industry popped up around that. Okay, what kind of things can we put in the microwave to cook in now that everyone's using it? So I remember all these commercials about Corelle stuff that was microwave safe. He paid $8 for this at an estate sale in March and sold for best offer of $40. Okay, Michelle bought at a garage sale for 50 cents, sold for $29.99 with free shipping in 4 months. This is some vintage laundry detergent. Ajax laundry detergent, stronger than dirt. 36-ounce giant size new. Now this is the kind of thing you're going to see at an estate sale, garage sale that's been sitting in somebody's house for 20 or 30 years, and they throw it out in their sale, and you come along and you know, this kind of thing sells for good money. So any of these packaged products that would not be used on or in the human body, cleaners, things like that, hair products, some people just want them for the container. They don't even care what's in it. And yes, movie studios, production companies do buy things on eBay all the time to put on their sets if they are doing a movie or production about something historical back in time, whatever, and they want the props to look right. So they actually go on eBay and buy that. And several people in my Facebook group, this is brought up all the time, that they look at the shipping address and it's going to Universal Studios or ABC Studios in New York or whatever. So this is a thing. But I mean, you don't want to sell vitamins that are 30 years old, you could dump them out and just sell the container. So that's the only thing you have to watch for is things that are to be used in or on the human body. If you're selling it for its historical value or as a decorative item, then state that in your listing. Okay, Shannon paid $8, bought them on Saturday and sold them on Sunday. This is the Pyrex mixing bowl nesting set with 4 colors, and she sold that for $55.95, paid $8. So that was a great flip. Okay, Charlie, this is the third one of these I found and sold in the last few years. This one was in great condition. Bought it for $4 and sold within a few days for full asking price of $80. Buyer paid $45 shipping. This is a vintage igloo cool rest cooler car center with cup holders. So I guess maybe it fits between the seats in the back maybe, or you can use it for tailgating or camping or whatever, but it's called Cool Rest Cooler and it's igloo. Paid $4, sold for $80. Okay, Emily has an interesting item here. She found these at the Goodwill outlet, paid no more than $3, sold within a couple of weeks for $79.99 plus shipping. This is vintage Hasbro classic game pens. So they're pens with a little miniature version of whatever the game is on the end of it. So it's like Operation, Magic 8 Ball, Hot Wheels, stuff like that. And $3 and sold them for $80. And pens don't probably even work, but that's not the point here. It's that these are collectibles. So those were some really interesting items. Vintage sells, so go with your gut on that if you're older, because it's usually right and you have that wisdom to draw on. One thing I want to tell you about real quick is yesterday I uploaded another list to my premium library, 65 brands you may be leaving behind. These are women's clothing brands. This is what the list looks like. It has the label, best case scenario of a sale, realistic sale price, what kind of things sell for the most to look for, and more details about the brand. If you are trying to expand your knowledge on all kinds of things to sell, I've got all these lists you can print out that have pictures on them. You can study them and be familiar with what you're looking for before you even go shopping. So you can pause the video here and read what all the lists are and how many items are on there. And come over to the premium library and join, even if you just want to get those lists and that's all you want to do. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. More of this format coming. Would love your comments on any of these items, and have a profitable and productive day on eBay. Bye.